Hey, all, Canada here. And I don't know, I make these little videos, right? But the day that a local person really supported Trump right flat out, and I was really trying to have conversations with people who thought differently. And then I thought I better go out for a walk and just calm down, because when someone on your own team not only does not, back check on your behalf, but actually kind of wipes out your goalie, like on purpose. That's what I think supporting a fascist regime is. And I said then, it is not about right or left, Republican or Democratic or liberal or conservative. It's not about that. Not about that, people, right? And it is about the teardown of democracy, Project 25, not a pare down of government, but a tear down of government under the guise of a pare down, and that you need to be broken in order to be fixed, you see. And so what I was interested in, and this morning basically sharing, is, a good way to say that is it's like an abusive relationship, They tell you you're broken. I don't think I am. Thank you. And they tell you no one's going to love you like I do. That's a favorite one, eh? And I go, yeah, no, there's a whole list of people who love me just the way I am, thanks. Like, those are flags. And that's what we were receiving as information. Oh, America's broken. It needs to be made great again, right? And the person to do that is me, the almighty Trump and Musk, right? And the writing was on the wall. High techs in the States have been talking about it for decades. And I'm going to just share next a clip of a university professor in political science at Yale who is he is moving to Canada, and he's going to work at U of T. We're going to get a whole lot more intellectuals wanting to study in Canada, because you certainly don't want to do it in the States. Lest be the Turkish woman who was taken off to a Louisiana poor conditioned prison. She's there on a green card to study. This is absolutely, like, we should be outraged. And so when I hear so many prominent people who have a voice responding in such an underwhelmed way, I'm not here to cause alarm. And when I did my whole day video, it was not to cause alarm, I suppose, but the gaslighting of talking about it as though, should we go out for recess or shouldn't we? That kind of underwhelmness just drives me bananas. And if you caught this on CBC, he goes on to say, like, you people should be outraged that your neighbor is tearing down democracy. It's going to affect us greatly, right? And I'm really glad that we're getting new corridors of trade, and we're going to take the wealth of our country and really lean into it and hopefully become unified and all those good things, right? That's what we have to hope for. But make no mistake, democracy in the United States has been being torn down for decades, and it is a movement around the globe. And Canada is in a position to say, stop right there, right? Stop right there. We need to come together. And I could play more clips of this fellow basically saying, to be nice to Trump is to say, and he did the analogy this morning. He said, to be nice to Trump is to, like, go into your abuser as a person in an abused relationship and saying, well, I just thought if I wore pink all day, maybe he'd be nice to me. There's no maybe he'll be nice to you. This man is a tyrant. This man has absolutely no respect for humanity. And what he will do to one, he will do to any of us. When he decides that anybody who's not orange is going to a state prison, that's what will happen. So we got to tighten our borders. That's for sure. So thank you for that, Mr. Trump. And we got to tighten our belts, and we need to strap on our boots. All of us, every Canadian, conservative, liberal, NDP, Green, independent. Political stripes do not matter. What matters is freedom and democracy. And how we're going to keep ours. And it's a world movement, right? He is an authoritarian, and he is linking himself with other authoritarians for an autocracy that he desires. And I'll play this clip next.
You're going to be humiliated and taken over in the same way as Donald Trump and this machine behind him is taking over all our democratic institutions.
Are you surprised at all by what's happening?
No. I mean, I wrote my book, How Fascism Works, in 2018, laying this all out. And as I said, it's an international struggle, working in India, working in Brazil. These are all countries where I'm connected with journalists, politicians, and this is an international movement against democracy. And so the idea that it couldn't come to the United States and the idea that it couldn't come to Canada is incredibly naive disbelief that these countries could fall. So it is absolutely essential that we not be surprised by it. I'm certainly not surprised by it because I work on countries all over the world. Anti-democratic parties. I'm not necessarily recommending that. I'm just saying that as a political philosopher, it is the oldest. It's book 8 of Plato's Republic. Democracy leads to tyranny because you can use. When unprincipled people run for office, they will lie and use propaganda and foment panic about internal and external enemies, and then seize power and never give it up.
How should your new home or your soon-to-be new home of Canada respond to this? I mean, yesterday the Prime Minister said, and this got a lot of attention in the United States and around the world because, again, it's very direct language that the United States is no longer a reliable partner in this, that it's no longer an ally. How should Canada respond, do you think?
I think that was a good, solid response, but I'd like to see a much bolder response.
Which would include what?
The United States, in its current form, is an enemy of Canada that seeks to at least dominate us, if not annex us, and so you need that bolder understanding. I know you Canadians, and maybe you will soon be my where I live in my home are sort of friendly, but and I appreciate that, and I appreciate your Prime Minister saying what needs to be said, that we're no longer a reliable partner. But don't you think that's a little bit of an understatement?
But I guess the other concern is that if you use stronger language, the response will be even more dramatic. And in the shadow of the United States, you take a look at our economy. We're a tiny economy. The United States and Donald Trump could crush this country.
Donald Trump respects strength like any bully. You're talking if you were a therapist talking to someone in an abusive relationship and they said, look, my husband, he's so strong, I just want to placate him and maybe he'll be nice again. That's 101. That is not how you deal with abusers.
And so here's the thing, right? I understand that Danielle Smith is hired to look after her constituents, which is the big oil industry, of course, right, of Alberta. But do you really need to do that by making allegiance with a far right? And by far right, let's not forget that if you go on any of those dark websites, Andrew Tate, far right means violence towards women. They do not like that masculinity has had to calm its fucking shit down over the last few decades. And it's wanting to take its power back. And it's teaching and radicalizing young men to be violent towards women, particularly while having sex. Do you hear me, right? These things, we need to know about them. And she's down there raising money for her second interview on an alt-right to cozy up to them when they want to make us the 51st state without a vote. That same guy, what's his name, Shapiro? I don't know. Is that his name? Where she went? He says we're a silly little country that makes maple syrup. Oh, boy, oh boy, oh boy. He does not know what he's talking about, does he? But back to Danielle Smith, that's what she's doing, folks. And when we become ununited and divided, that's when they pounce. That's the first thing they do, is cause a reason for division amongst us. And she is dividing from Canada and actually supporting and raising money for a movement that particularly offends me as a woman. And it should damn well offend every woman, and particularly her. And I feel hugely betrayed as a woman that she would go on there and suck his ass. So that's just another point. I don't claim to know answers, but we've got to somehow become unified. And I guess Danielle Smith is not part of that. And we're going to need a prime minister that's going to have to stand up to Trump and say, no, democracy is stable here. We are a sovereign country. We will make our own decisions and our own allies, and you no longer are an ally. So we were a really good best friend, and now you have stated over and over again that we are horrible to deal with, horrible at negotiations, that we cheat on the CUSMA. Not true. Not at all true. Have you noticed that the guy lies? Have you? Have you? Right? And you know what he's doing to Greenland with the big JD Vance? Ooh, visit? I hope that doesn't happen on our soil. They are not invited. They're trying to trump Canada. But we hold the right and the left. Cheers. But we got to play together. Cheers.